Hello, everybody. Welcome back to From the Blockchain. I'm Ashley, also known as Board Becky. I'm here with my co-host, NFTIgnition, Danielle Davis. We're from Fame Lady Squad. We're here today with a woman who we both adore and admire and are big fans of, Yasmin Shima from Year of the Woman. Full disclosure, we are holders of her beautiful project. We're here in LA. We're live. Some of you are watching live right now. But we're really excited to just get to know you a bit better and to know about your story as an artist, how you got here, how you're feeling. So maybe just to start this off, tell us just a little bit about you and your journey into NFTs.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me here today, ladies. This is wonderful to be in LA, actually, straight from Sydney. So just a little bit about my story. I'm a traditional painter. So I actually come from being a traditional artist and quite heavily painting for the last 5 years. And I transitioned into digital art midway through last year. So just a little backstory, but I basically had to pivot because I had a minor operation, which basically meant I couldn't stand at my easel. So I wanted to find a different way to create. So I actually taught myself digital art at that point. Mm-hmm. So I essentially just started to kind of create these art pieces, women and animals. That's my subject of choice. I've just been drawn to beauty and like the fearlessness and, just the grace and all of the things that women encapsulate. So I started to kind of like create these images, and I thought, well, I'll create Chinese zodiacs because it was very much around the theme of wanting to create something quite inclusive that people could relate to, and also obviously paint my subject of choice. So I started to create what we are now looking at as the Year of the Woman back then. And I basically kind of put that away, and then I started another collection which I called Ride or Die and minted on OpenSea. And so the kind of lead into Web3 is that I minted this 14-piece collection, but I wasn't able to accept any offers, and I wasn't able to actually understand how to enter Web3, even though I just minted them. I just couldn't kind of work out the next step. So kind of fast forward from that, and I ended up talking to my friend William, who's my now project manager with Year of the Woman, and he was able to help educate me and essentially onboard me into Web3. And I sort of went back to my original idea of the Chinese zodiacs, and I said, well, how about turning this into a project? I'd really love to see if that's something that I can do in Web3. And he basically backed me, and we kicked off Year of the Woman last Christmas. So we minted on International Women's Day. We're actually still minting now. And it's based around the Chinese zodiacs, as I said. So it's a bit of a playful take on the characters, and I've embedded a one-of-one unique 12 pieces into the 10K collection, which represent women in a more inclusive manner. So that then highlights like different life stages, different body shapes. I was able to kind of work with different complexions and different nationalities. So for me, it was essentially creating a project kind of heroing and championing women, but also remaining inclusive. And I also, I like to kind of appeal to like men, women and children. So the roadmap of my project and my pay it forward is based around my kind of challenges entering Web3. And so for me, I wanted to make that a more seamless process, like kind of taking away the complications and the frustrations for other artists. So I am looking to help onboard other female artists, not limited to, but a highlight on female artists to help them to enter Web3, and essentially working alongside with collaborating with these artists or just supporting them to create either a Genesis collection or a project. But the thing is, they don't need to do like a big project like mine. They could essentially just create a body of work, have all the resources and support needed, which we can provide as Year of the Woman, and then essentially just, access our community, access all the benefits of everything that we have to offer, and retain full royalties of the work. So, it's like almost like a record label, but without any contracts, without any any kind of ties to us, they come to us for as little or as long as they want. And then once they're kind of ready to launch out on their own in the meta, they can go forth and do that. So yeah, there's a few other things with the roadmap that you guys can ask if you'd like to know more.
Well, first I have to say, like, your ride or die collection is badass. I love it. So people should make sure to check that out on OpenSea. It was actually what I loved having that collection out there before your Year of the Woman launch was it really gave me a sense of like who you were as an artist, get to know the style. I was very attracted to it, like resonated to me. So I thought that was really interesting, and I love your point about like artists don't have to dive off the deep end to get into this space, and sometimes starting smaller might actually be beneficial. I'm curious, I mean, you're from Australia. You've been an artist for a long time. I'm wondering, do you have a community of artists back home where you're from? And what kind of conversations are you having with them about the space?
Yes, great question. And it's something I spoke about a lot as I was in all my spaces and entering Web3. But I have got so many friends from Australia who actually are artists. And I'm talking painters, ceramicists, sculptors, like, you know, mixed media. And, you know, it's so, I feel like I'm so grateful to be in this position to be able to support my friends, you know, and obviously extending beyond that, but just to be able to handhold them and help them to enter Web3 because they're basically seeing what's happening with me. And I've relatively gone from a local, you know, I'm from Bondi, Australia, and so I've gone from kind of like a local artist where people know me as an artist in my community because I also do commercial murals and so forth. But I've gone from that to basically being here in LA, like NFT Live, here with you ladies. I literally get DM'd every day from my friends back home going, we're so proud of you. This is amazing what you're doing. We'd love to know more. And through my experiences, I'm able to support them. So I am now introducing every week now. I've got a space is called it's called Tequila with Shima.
Sounds amazing.
Because I love my tequila, I love my mezcal, but it's essentially a creative chat. Yeah, so I'm just basically bringing in anyone who's a creator, and I've started with friends of mine, and so I kicked off my first show before coming to LA, and people like these are friends of mine who are artists, who are amazing artists. They're either on Web3 already or they're not. And my community are literally just lapping them up, you know. So people are able to meet these new artists that are relatively undiscovered, that are literally at that point where, you know, they don't want to work a full-time corporate job anymore. They just want to do their art. And that's how I started. I literally, before the pandemic, I said, I'm done. I'm not working a full-time job anymore. I quit. I'm going to be an artist. And I think that, you know, I really want to just like support artists and like have them know that it is possible. You can do it. You know, like I have my friends who are these artists that we're talking about kind of like having a lot of anxiety because they're thinking, I can't make money. I can't get exposed. I don't know what to do. I need to go and get a job. And I'm like, no, come into Web3 with me. Listen, I'm going to help you. You know what I mean? Like, let's set you up with a MetaMask. Let's set you up on OpenSea. Let's get a collection together. Think of what you want to talk about. What's your story? What's your purpose? And so essentially, like, you know, getting them to already kind of kick off. And then I can now introduce them to our community. And, you know, I do feel like that's just such an important part about being a creator, to be able to inspire and support others. Yeah.
I am wondering from an artist perspective, and it's funny because we have not really talked to a lot of artists on our podcast yet. I think the reason being, just for those who are listening, is we were wanting to kind of branch out beyond PFPs, like so people could really start thinking about like what can NFTs do. So I'm really excited to have you here as one of the first artists we've really talked to. But I do wonder, and there's no right answer, but I can imagine there's got to be something going on in your mind or when you're talking to other artists, not just around the tech side, the onboarding side, which is already a challenge. You've got to meet the right people to help you figure out what your first steps are going to be, but also around this idea of like utility on top of art or business on top of art. And I think everyone's going to have a different perspective, and there's no right or wrong answer, but I just love to know, you know, what are you thinking about that just generally, or what kind of things are you hearing in the space related to, I just picture like folks who aren't necessarily looking to be entrepreneurs, let's say.
Like artists
Yes.
who want to enter, but they don't want to do like the whole thing that comes along with it.
That's just felt so dare I say, typical for the last like 10 months.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think so is it the kind of sort of thing that you phrasing the question as though like they could do as little or as much as they want? Because obviously doing a project, it requires a lot. Like it's a big job.
Yes.
So not to overwhelm these artists.
I guess I'm wondering what people are thinking about when they're entering the space as a visual artist.
Mm-hmm.
Are they like thinking, well, that seems too overwhelming. Like there's these huge projects. Now you've got to maintain and build and nurture not only a community, but now, and I hate that we don't really mean to use the word utility, but like value adds to the community in an ongoing way.
Well, oh, sorry. But yeah, so how I like to explain that, and that sort of brings me back to what I was saying before of like they can lean on us for as little or as much as they want. Because what I do know is that, you know, doing a project or a generative project is completely different to being one-of-one artist. Okay, so I actually have the both kind of by default, I guess, like the Ride or Die was my entry or my kind of way of coming in, and I will continue to release collections upon that. But the 10K was a kind of bigger picture, which you actually, you know, you need a whole team. You need like an entire team to support that. And so I think my message to the artist is that you don't need to do that. You can enter as a one-of-one artist. You can literally just do your art that you love. You can come up with a collection, which is, you know, obviously what we want to work with a cohesive body of work anyway. And you can literally convert all of your NFTs into your physical, because that's what the people want. Like, it's all about bridging the gap between the digital and the physical. So, you know, these artists, like, for example, I've got ceramicist artist, right? And she's a friend of mine who she's questioning how can she be in Web3? And I'm like, well, you have your NFTs and you have the real life piece that people can then have in their home. And, you know, it's almost just like, it doesn't really, it's almost like it takes a while for these guys to compute it, because they're like, wait, so I can literally create two pieces of work and people want to buy my stuff simply by seeing something online. And that's essentially what it is, right? It's a platform to be exposed and to be seen. So I think that, you know, the bottom line is that you literally can just create the work that you love to do, be a one-on-one artist. Everybody wants the utility. So whatever, like if you're a painter, everybody will want to have that painting, and that NFT will authenticate that painting, you know? So it's like a true ownership, because it's one thing to kind of look at a piece of art and admire it, but when you're the owner, there is just something, there's a deeper connection, you know? And the NFTs are an incredible way for all these artists to literally be put in a position to be exposed. So that's all that it is. So I kind of like to break it down in like layman's terms for them. The NFT is like your way to get seen. You know, people are going to invest in you because they like your work and they want to follow your journey, and you're going to continue to create art ongoing for the rest of your days, and they'll want to convert that into real life. So think about what it is in real life that you have to offer them, which is generally all the physical items which all these artists already have, you know. So I do come from a traditional, as I said, art background. So digital is just like, it's been an amazing opportunity to kind of access and enter, and all these artists that that I know are kind of, they're either painters converting into digital, or mostly real life artists converting into digital. So, you know, I think that's what I've recognised coming in, rather than being a digital artist and then thinking, oh, what utility can I make? I've already got the utility, and like these other artists that I'm, you know, in my mind that I'm thinking of also do. So, so I think that it's just like making that really simple for them to understand.
I think you have such a great, proud community. I mean, we went to your event earlier this week, and it was very clear that like people love you and everything that you're doing and your team. So maybe we can speak to both those things. I'll ask the first question first, because Danielle's telling me I ask 6-part questions. So the first part is like, how, as a new entrant yourself into the space, how did you go about building your team? How did you find them? How did you select them and vet them, and how's that experience been?
Yeah, great. So, so as I mentioned, William, who's my now project manager, we actually met through a mutual friend, because I was a producer for 20 years working in advertising, and a friend of mine that I worked with in advertising had seen my Ride or Die collection, and he basically called me one day and he was like, listen, I've got a friend who's like really understands NFTs, because I had so many people telling me I should get into NFTs, but no one could explain how.
Or why.
Or why, exactly. So I'm on YouTube looking up all these videos, just like information overload, couldn't understand. So I basically... So he actually introduced me to William. Just before that, I was actually approached by a consultant of Penthouse who helped me mint my work, right? Because he obviously liked my work and they did an article on me. But it was until a few weeks later when this mutual friend of mine introduced me and Will. So that's how Will and I got to talking. So we spent rounds and rounds of like hours on conversation just about really him helping to educate me. And so the rest of the team, the core team, friends with William. They've been friends for like 2 decades. So they're just like this strong group of friends. They're all business owners. They're all entrepreneurs. They all own their own successful businesses. So they've all brought business to market. So they've got all of those skills and ability. So that, obviously that's business development, project managing, publicity. So I actually just get to be an artist, which is like a complete blessing, right? So there's been so many kind of things along the way where I literally, as I said, I was a producer before, and now I'm like, I just want to be an artist. I want people to like manage those things, and I will just literally create. So that's how the core team met. And then obviously just recently we've taken on Aubrey and Becky, and they're obviously people that we met in our community that were with other projects, Aubrey with other project. And these are friendships developed. These are friendships developed through the Web3 space, alignments, connections, like proper connections made. Like I remember speaking to Aubrey on one of our first spaces, and like we ended up talking about Nicaragua on this space, and I just literally felt like she was a girl that I met in Nicaragua having like a rum on the beach and dancing, and now we're like, she's my right-hand woman. And Becky, met her the same way in Web3, and literally we connected the very first time we met. She was like, how did I not know about you? Where have I been living under a rock? And it was like those instant connections, and now they're my team here in LA. So, it's literally through, I don't know, I just feel like I'm so grateful that we have formed this incredible team of people who essentially have all come together in a very short amount of time. And we, like obviously aside from the guys that have been friends for the decades, but we have just bonded so strongly, and we are just... like what everybody sees is what we are.
It's like when I see you guys, I'm like, it's like the friends you want to have. You see these people hanging out and they're having so much fun and then just loving each other so much. When I see the pictures and videos of you guys, and like I can just feel the love in the pictures.
It is 100% that. Like I literally am like, you guys are just my friends. I could not have picked a better kind of crew of people to be together. And, at the end of the day, you got to think about it like when you're meeting people and then all of a sudden you're like put together on like a trip like this is so, it's like, it's dense. Like there's a lot going on in this week. There's like a lot of activity. We're running around, moving around, doing lots of things. But everything's so effortless and fluid, and like, we are just... it's like the perfect storm, I think it's because we all just align on values, mission. Everyone is here to follow their passion, and we allow them to be passionate about what they are good at and what they love to do, and we welcome that. And I think that's the really important thing about this space as well. And just to touch on, obviously, the mods, I don't want to forget about them, because we have got the most incredible mods, and they all came to us, again, through community. Mm-hmm. Literally people contacting us going, how can we work together? What can I do for you? And I had my first in real life event before I flew to LA and met some of my mods on the ground there. And it was literally like, it was one of the best things, because these are people who are essentially speaking on my behalf about everything that I'm passionate about. And they're just like the same level of passion going out into the community, So yeah, it's the perfect storm. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that story. And just for our audience, like, if you don't understand language, we're using mods or moderators in the Discord. I think that it's really nice to hear your story for women in particular who are listening that want to get involved in this space. All it really takes, it seems, at least for now, is getting involved in a community that resonates with you, that you believe in, spend some time there, and there may very well be opportunities to grow with that community in a professional capacity. So I think that's really neat. But we do need to give a shout out to your community in and of itself. Maybe we can say a few words about how you're nurturing that and how that's been for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, community is everything. So the reason that we can even keep going is because of the community. So we wanted to like basically find a way to symbiotically give back to, as I'm talking about, these other artists as well as the community. So just a couple of things with that. Our kind of give back to the community is well, for one, it's been an organic growth. So just in terms of like the lead up, and I think we have about like 10,000 on the Discord, and that was over a 2-month period, which was purely organic, like no paid sponsorships, nothing like that. Just people genuinely entering and then hearing about us, word of mouth and that kind of thing.
Well, and loving your art. I'm one of them.
Love it. Yes.
The first time I
gosh.
saw it, I was like, okay, this is like a queen, right? Like just the way their hands are and the eyes shut. I bought so many of the ones with their eyes shut. I love them.
I love that because I've got this thing where it's like, you know, when you're dancing and then like you just close your eyes and you're listening to the music and you're just in the vibe.
Yep.
So I like do that a lot, right? And I just like the girl with her eyes closed. For me, that she has so much emotion.
Yeah.
Because it's also the thing of like you don't know how she's feeling. She could be feeling elated, or she could be feeling really relaxed or peaceful, or she could be dreaming, you know. And I love that because it obviously connects with you as well. And I love the stoned girl as well. She's I'm actually going to be doing a mural in Melrose, actually around here. I'm doing a wall on Tuesday. Yeah, so that's another thing as well. Like nice. I was going to say, anyone who wants to come down and like just check it out, I'll be painting our girl.
That's amazing. I know I'm not going to be here, but please, I know you will, but take tons of photos.
Oh my God,
share.
Well, we may have the LA Times down there. So.
Oh, you're amazing.
But yeah, so
I know we have to wrap up, but I want to, before we do, tell us two things. Number one, what are you excited about the future? And number two, how can people find you, follow you, know more about you?
Mm-hmm. I'm excited about all of it at the moment. Like we literally were leaving like the house now and we're going, okay, we'll see you guys all in New York in 12 weeks. So we're all going to be in New York, obviously, doing kind of this and spreading the word. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see things actualize. Mm-hmm. So now, you know, as I said, obviously we're still minting, but like this is my first in real life event now. I'm already doing the things, you know, we put on our first event. I'm able to reach the community. I've already painted for people, so now I'm going to do a mural. It's actualizing all the things that we've spoken about for the last 2 months. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited to bring on, as I said, these new artists, introduce them to the community. As soon as I bring them in, like our followers and our community instantly have access to all these new people, and they're loving these spaces that we're doing because they're essentially people that like I'm connecting with, and so the community are now connecting with them. Mm. So yeah, just the actualization of all of it. There's going to be paint classes with kids. There's like I'm already doing paint sips. I do the paint and sip classes like on Saturdays. Yeah. So I do like live painting. You guys can just jump on. We had like 35 people jump on the first time. It was so fun. Everyone posting all their paintings on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So you know, just really all of that, and really being able to see, you know, our community grow and stay with us. And I think for me, it's a long-term game. Like I just would my greatest vision would be that, you know, a success for me, I think looks like, obviously, like, you know, the floor and all that stuff, you know, that's one level of a success. But for me, it's being able to kind of pursue my career and my life as an artist, have all, like, you know, as many people as want to follow my journey and my work, and to be able to, like, support my team as well, and just, like, you know, be able to, you know, them be doing what they love. And a lot of them can now quit their jobs, you know, in real life, and move into Web3 and be able to, you know, work the I guess in the sort of lifestyle and passion arena, you know. So that for me is what I'm excited about. And then, yeah, so I guess everyone can find me on, I'm on Twitter, so Year of the Woman. We've got our Instagram. Obviously, our Discord is linked into both of those, so you can join the community. And, yeah.
And they can mint at?
Yes, they can mint. Yeah, so they can mint at yearofthewoman.io, and that's also a direct link on the Twitter. Mm-hmm. Yes. So.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, this has been so fun. It's been so nice to, like, we've met in online and done spaces, but seeing you IRL and meeting you in person has just been so lovely. So I know we'll see you again.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night,
again.
ladies.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on, though. It was a pleasure.
So much fun. Thank you so much, ladies. Loved all of it.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, we will be right back from the blockchain. See you all soon.